Coming to you from the Spit Studios in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. This is the Spit Sports Show. I woke up maybe an hour and a half ago, opened up my phone after brushing my teeth, doing my morning routine to read all of the Lions injury updates. And this isn't going to be a concession video per se. This is going to be a reality check kind of video that I do here because honestly, these injuries that the Lions have suffered haven't only made me question my Detroit Lions, love and how much I care about this stupid Honolulu Blue team, but it's also made me question how much I care about the NFL because, like, the NFL is only September till January, September, November, December, that like 4 months of a 12-month calendar year. For 8 months, there is no football on TV. You only get 18 NFL Sundays with 7 hours of commercial-free football with Scott Hansen. There are only 3-4 weeks, depending on your team, of playoff games. Maybe 1 week if your team it gets eliminated first round. You understand what I mean? There's very limited years, very limited games in the NFL. And that's why the product is so popular, because if you know anything about marketing, you give someone a little taste of something, they're a lot more prone to enjoy it than if you give someone heaps of something. That's why the NBA is struggling with their 82 game season right now. But when I saw that McNieill is out for the season with a torn ACL and Carlton Davis is out for 6 weeks with a fractured jaw, I honestly wasn't that upset. I was just like, okay, here we go again. So the Lions have another 2 defensive studs injured. I mean, that's just kind of how this year has gone, hasn't it? As soon as Hutch and Davenport went down in back-to-back weeks for the season, our 2 best edge rushers, I was like, okay, maybe this is just going to be that season where nothing goes right. And that's absolutely been the season so far. If you look at all of the Lions defenders currently on injury reserve, that would make a heck of a starting defense by itself. The D line would obviously be Hutch and Davenport. That's pretty great. The linebacking core of Alex Anzalone and Derek Barnes and Malcolm Rodriguez, that's a heck of a linebacking core. And then at corner now, you got Carlton Davis, Melifongwu, and then our best special teams player went out yesterday with a fractured ankle that just looked so bad. But again, we can overcome defensive injuries because at the end of the day, we have on paper the best offense in the NFL. I know the Bills had a better offense than us yesterday, but still score the most points per game. And we had a terrible defense last year, which made it to the NFC Championship game and probably should have made it to the Super Bowl. So I'm not devastated about that. But what sunk my heart and just really it put a dagger in me, I'm not going to lie, is when I saw that David Montgomery is likely out for the season with, I believe it's a torn MCL. Yeah. The Lions offense is highly, highly predicated on David Montgomery. Highly predicated on him rushing for tough yards, getting 3-4 yards out of a play that should be 1-2 yards so that we can be ahead of the sticks and go into our play action game, which Goff is so good at. And obviously no one scored more touchdowns since he arrived in Detroit than David Montgomery has. So that goal line back is obviously gone now. Now, all is not lost. Obviously, Jahmyr Gibbs is more than capable of being a bell cow. He's more than talented enough. And backup running backs aren't exactly backup quarterbacks. Like, they're replaceable. I understand you can kind of insert a certain player into a running back role if he's talented enough, and he'll probably do the job, especially behind this offensive line. But he's not only such a valuable player as a football player, just as a guy in the locker room. He's hilarious. He's obviously very encouraging. He's an unbelievable pass blocker as well, to go back to his football stuff for a second. Unbelievable in pass blocking and pass protection. This is a huge, huge loss for the Detroit Lions. Like, huge. Now, what does this mean for their future playoff chances? Well, all is not lost because the Lions do still control their own destiny for the NFC's number 1 seed. They need to win out most likely. Philly's probably going to win out. They don't really have a tough adjacent game left on their schedule. They have the Commanders in there. But the Lions go Bears, who they should beat even on the road. They have nothing to play for, although I think they'll be very, very frisky, especially if they end up losing to Minnesota tonight, like I think they will. And then they have the 49ers, who I think, again, they should beat somewhat convincingly. I don't think the 49ers have a whole lot more to give. Talk about a team that's been ravaged by injuries as well. Like, there's the difference between the 49ers and the Lions, though, and what's so frustrating is the 2 years the 49ers have dealt with injuries comparable to the Lions this year, they were coming off Super Bowl trips. So at least they got to watch their team in the big game. And also, especially this year, the players that got hurt were older. And you expect older players to get injured more. That's just how it works with age. Like, all of our guys who have gone to IR are supposed to be in the heart of their primes. Like Hutchinson, this is the heart of his prime. Anzalone, this is the back end of his prime. Davenport's towards the back end of his prime. And Lee McNieill, who just went out yesterday, one of the best interior defensive linemen in the world, he's in the heart of his prime, and he's just out. And Melifonwu, heart of his prime, out. And it's just so lame how much this is compiled into the point of, this is what I was talking about at the start, where it was making me question like my football fandom, because I only got so many years at this and so many chances to have a great team. And just in 1 year, it can just not matter because, yeah, your guys all tear their knees up and you lose. Like, I don't think I'm articulating this very well at all, but what I mean is, like, you can have the perfect roster. I don't think it's deniable that if you take away injuries, the Lions have by a mile the best roster in the NFL in terms of depth, top end talent, all of that combined. I don't think it's debatable. And we have our coordinators this year, and our coaching staff is perfect. And the scheme fits, and Aaron Glenn's coaching the best he's ever coached, and all of these things would line up perfectly before the season to where you see the Lions clearly holding up a Super Bowl trophy. Everything looks perfect. The roster looks perfectly built. The coaching staff looks perfect. And everyone's had a couple years together, so there's chemistry and continuity. And they went to the NFC Championship game last year, and they have incredible momentum, and they come out of the gates rolling, and they have one loss forever. And it just doesn't matter when the season's so short and injuries are so potent and they matter so much. And I'm not gonna cry about it. Like, it is what it is. But I am upset because obviously this team has more than enough talent to win a Super Bowl this year. And as a Lions fan, I know so well that these years are slim. You don't get many years at the top of the NFL. It's ups and downs, unless you're the Chiefs for the last 10 years, apparently. But it's a lot of ups and downs. It's a lot of tragedy and triumph. And this was supposed to be a huge year of triumph, and it's turned into a year of just injury tragedy. And it sucks because you'd never know when you're going to get back to this spot. Like I said, all is not lost. Carlton Davis could be back for the NFC Championship game. Anzalone, our best and smartest linebacker. If you watched the Bills game yesterday, that really matters, how smart and connected he is. He'll be back in a couple weeks. But yeah, that Montgomery loss, man, that really, really stings. Like, really stings. The offense, I don't think, moves the same when he's not running at his best. Also, the fact that he went back in that game after, he's clearly should not have been put back in that game catching passes after he tore his MCL. I don't know if it made it worse. I'm gonna be friggin' heartbroken if it did make it worse and he tried to tough it out and, The worst case scenario is he did more damage to it and he's out for longer, but we'll see. We'll see as the reporting comes out. Again, the David Montgomery news just got released maybe 45 minutes ago, so this is all very fresh to me. But I know the question that you're probably asking is, Elijah, do you think the Lions can still win the Super Bowl? I do, but it's under a very, very certain set of circumstances now. I think without all of these, I'm not even going to use the word anymore, but all of these issues on the roster now, I think the Lions could have cruised to a Super Bowl title, not just the Super Bowl, a Super Bowl win. With this now, the Lions have got to get that number 1 seed. Flatly. They have to. If they don't get that number 1 seed, don't get another week, a bye week to get healthy. If they don't play at home for their 2 playoff games, I don't think they have a chance, especially with how deep the NFC is this year, with the Rams playing great. And obviously the Packers are going to be an awesome wild card team. The Commanders can scare people. The Buccaneers looked awesome against the Chargers yesterday. The Vikings are obviously still right on our heels. And I haven't even mentioned Philly yet, who's the best team in the NFC right now until further notice. It's a lot. And they need the perfect circumstances, which they control. They can create the perfect circumstances for themselves. But yeah, get healthy, boys. This has been a rough couple weeks. But I still love this team, and we're gonna be all right. And yeah, that's all I got. Thank you all so much for watching. Let me know what you thought. If you agreed with what I said, please leave a like on the video. If you didn't agree with what I said, leave a comment in the comments below. I obviously love talking about sports, football, hockey, basketball, any sport you want to talk about. Probably something to do with the Detroit Lions, considering that's the topic today. But whatever you want to talk about, leave some in the comments below. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Spit Sports Show just hit over 370 subscribers. As always, I will see you all in. Peace out.